It was just another crisp, foggy morning when Sarah, a little girl no older than 8, tied the leash around Max's collar. The golden retriever's fur gleamed in the first light of dawn as he sat obediently, tail wagging, waiting for their daily walk. But something was off today. Something in the air felt different. Max, usually a calm and loving companion, had been acting strange for days. He would stare into the woods, ears perked, growling low in his throat. But when Sarah would tug him along, he'd quiet down and return to his usual cheerful self. Today, however, the air felt heavier, as if the very ground they stood on was holding its breath. "Come on, Max. Let's go," Sarah whispered, glancing over her shoulder. The small neighborhood street was quiet, the only sound the distant call of birds and the rhythmic click of Sarah's shoes on the pavement. As they walked down the same path they took every morning, Sarah's eyes darted nervously to the thick woods that bordered the trail. Max tugged at the leash, his body tense, as if he knew something she didn't. The strange behavior had become more frequent lately, and Sarah had started to worry. But she loved her dog so much. He was her best friend, her protector. Nothing could be wrong, right? But today, something felt different. The way Max was acting sent a chill down Sarah's spine. And when the wind picked up, carrying a strange scent with it, she couldn't help but feel the sudden sense of dread growing in her chest. Her heart pounded, and she found herself glancing over her shoulder more and more. There was no one around, just the eerie quiet and the heavy weight of the fog. "Come on, boy," she murmured, trying to shake off the unease. Max stopped suddenly, his ears raised, eyes fixed ahead. His deep brown eyes locked onto the woods, as though something, or someone, was watching them. Sarah tugged on the leash, but Max refused to move. Instead, he let out a low, warning growl. Before Sarah could respond, there was a rustling from the trees. Her breath caught in her throat. She turned slowly, Max still growling low, his body rigid. A shadow moved among the trees, too quick to catch in full view, but Sarah could feel it. Something, or someone, was there. She stood frozen, the hairs on the back of her neck standing up as she waited. Nothing came. The rustling stopped, the world returned to its eerie stillness. But Max wouldn't let it go. He continued to growl, refusing to take another step forward. Her heart raced. What could it be? A wild animal? A person? "Let's go. Home, Max," she whispered. But her voice was shaky, and even she wasn't sure if she was telling him to go home for his safety or for her own. Suddenly there was a loud snapping noise, like a twig breaking underfoot. Max lunged forward, pulling the leash from Sarah's hand. He darted toward the woods, barking fiercely now, his tail stiff. The force of his pull knocked Sarah off balance, and she stumbled, falling to the ground. Panic surged in her chest as she scrambled to get up, her heart hammering in her chest. Max was barking relentlessly now, his growls growing louder and more intense. Sarah pushed herself to her feet and rushed after him, her legs trembling, her mind racing. She had to catch up to him. She had to protect him. But by the time she reached the edge of the woods, Max was gone. The fog had thickened, and Sarah could barely see beyond the first few feet of trees. The only sound was Max's barking, coming from deep within the woods. "Max!" she shouted, panic rising in her voice. "Max!" The barking stopped. Silence. The kind of silence that made the world feel too quiet. Sarah's breath came in short, sharp gasps as she called for him again, stepping closer into the darkening woods. She knew she should turn back, but she couldn't, not without Max. The silence stretched on, but then a rustling again. She spun around, every nerve in her body screaming at her to run, but she couldn't. Her dog was out there. And then she saw him, Max, standing at the edge of the trees, staring into the distance. He was trembling, eyes wide with fear. Before Sarah could reach him, a figure stepped out of the shadows, tall and imposing. It was a man, dressed in dark clothing, his face obscured by the mist. He didn't speak a word. He simply stood there, watching her. Sarah's heart skipped a beat as she froze. The man didn't move, but Max's posture changed. The growl that had been so fierce moments ago turned into a whimper. Sarah didn't know what was happening, but she knew it wasn't good. The man didn't make a move toward her, but there was something in the air, something suffocating, dangerous. The fog seemed to grow thicker, the world spinning around Sarah as her head began to ache. Then, as if waking from a trance, the man spoke. "Don't you see, little girl?" he said, his voice soft but laced with a coldness that sent shivers down her spine. Max isn't just a dog. Sarah blinked, her mind struggling to understand. What did he mean? The man stepped closer, his silhouette more defined as the fog began to clear just enough to reveal his face. His eyes were dark, unreadable. "He's been protecting you," the man continued, his voice colder now. "But you can't hide it forever." A feeling of dread settled over Sarah. Her heart began to race again as she glanced at Max. He was still trembling, his eyes locked onto the man. But there was something else now, a deeper understanding. In his gaze, as if he had known all along what was about to happen. "Protecting me?" Sarah whispered, her voice barely a breath. The man nodded slowly, his eyes narrowing. "Yes, but there's more to him than you know." The ground beneath Sarah's feet seemed to shift as everything started to fall into place. She could feel the weight of his words, but she didn't understand. "Who are you?" she asked, the words barely escaping her lips. The man didn't answer. Instead, he reached into his pocket and pulled out something small. He tossed it to Sarah, and she caught it instinctively. Her fingers trembled as she looked at the object in her hand, a small, silver locket. And as soon as her fingers brushed against it, everything changed. Suddenly, memories flooded her mind, images of a time long past, a time she couldn't remember. Her mother, a woman she barely recognized, her father, and then Max. The dog was more than just a pet. He was her protector, her guardian. The realization hit Sarah like a tidal wave. Max wasn't just any dog. He had been sent to protect her for reasons she had never known. Her parents had hidden this truth from her, but it was time she knew. And with that knowledge, everything fell into place. The man, the strange behavior, the danger lurking in the shadows. Max was there to protect her, but from what? Before Sarah could ask, the man turned and vanished into the woods, leaving only a whisper behind. You can never escape your past. The fog rolled in again, and Sarah stood there, Max by her side, her world forever changed.